Hello. It's exactly 12 o'clock. Hi. Hello, everybody. Let's wait for a little while until more people join. Hi, everybody. Hello. People joining in and coming out. And anyway, many of you will watch the replay afterwards. So maybe I will just begin. And it's quite weird to see myself constantly while I'm talking, but we adapt. Okay. So today's subject is we're discussing, this is the Self-Expedition. We're discussing the Self-Expedition Cafe, and we are discussing the newsletter that was published. It's always published on the first of the month, so that we can begin the month with a reflection of the previous month and set some intentions for the coming month. With the newsletter and with the Self-Expedition Cafe, my idea is that I share with you matters that are close to me, that are close to my heart, that I am entertaining in the previous month or in the previous period. And I hope that I will inspire you to reflect, to act, and to develop greater confidence, greater self-awareness in your roles, in your relationships, and to build the most important relationship of your life, which is the relationship with yourself. So if you are watching and if you know a friend that might benefit from this, just reach out to this friend, because maybe many times people are maybe shy or they do not know about it. So I invite you to invite a friend. Okay. So let us begin. In this past newsletter, I talked about recharging. I talked about intentions and perceptions, and most of it was about the intentions perceptions gap in communication. But let's begin with recharging. And as you can see, I am currently on my lunch break at the International Atomic Energy Agency, where I have been in the past month, and I will be spending most of my days here until at the end of September. And since I started this contract, I began juggling with my regular activities at the Vienna International Academy of NLP, and then with coaching, with the core model that we are working on with my dear colleague and friend Martina, and then also my social life, my physical health, exercising, so yoga, running. I love to watch sunsets, so I want to watch sunsets, and then it was too much at one point. I didn't want to give up anything, especially not the 8-hour sleep, which is very important to me. And then I found myself basically in a drained state after so many days. Following the routine that I had, I realized that if I continue like this, I'm heading towards a burnout. So I needed to make some decisions of what I'm going to keep in my life and what I'm going to reduce or even let go of, so that I can manage, basically, I can manage everything. And what I noticed was that when I would come home after work, after 9 hours of office work, I would feel drained. I would really feel like a squeezed lemon. And as soon as I come home, I leave my bag and everything that I'm carrying with me. I would just need to sit and stare at a dot in front of me, not doing anything. Or maybe just scrolling on the phone, just without any consciousness, without any awareness of the passing period. And I needed this 1 hour to simply recover my state, to come back to myself. So as I observed what was going on, I figured out, because there were then days when immediately after work, I would go to work in the garden. I have a garden, yes, and connect there with nature, connect with the plants, see how everything is growing and progressing. Or when I would go to watch a sunset immediately after work in the Danube, or when I would go meet a friend, when I would have coaching. So when there was an activity that charges my batteries, at the end of the day, when I would come home, I would feel physically tired, but emotionally or mentally content, full with myself. So I figured out that I need to balance, because the office was draining my battery. So yeah, just like we charge our phones, we need to charge ourselves on a daily basis. And it's not enough that you charge yourself twice a year going on a vacation, winter, summer, or every 3 weeks you go on a weekend somewhere, or even you work every day, 5 days a week, and then you relax during the weekend. Again, it's not enough. This is what creates imbalances. So we need to recharge daily. Just like you put your phone, plug it in, we need to plug ourselves in to activities that energize us, that give us energy, so that we can create that balance in our life. Because it is impossible that we avoid completely activities that drain us. These activities will be there, and yeah, we all have to do things that drain our battery. So if you know, for example, that during your week you have a lot of meetings, you have a lot of difficult conversations, maybe you have a lot of Zoom meetings, then you need to plan. You need to interweave into your calendars activities that charge your battery. So I did a little bit of a research, because of course what drains me doesn't necessarily mean that it will drain you, and what drains and what fills you up doesn't necessarily mean that it will be filling me up or recharging me. We're all unique. So I did a little research of what usually people say is draining their batteries. So this is like 8 hours of sitting at a desk, which is what drains me personally. Then staring at screens, of course, this is a drainer for all of us, whether it's your phone, whether it's your laptop, whether it's your computer, whether it's your TV. Screens are drainers for all of us. Then sensory overload. So when you're spending time where there is a lot of noise, so your senses are overloaded, or there are a lot of colors in front of you, or a lot of movement, or uncomfortable clothes. This is also a drainer. Of course, Zoom meeting, and you have probably heard about the newly coined term, the Zoom fatigue. Then tension. When we are tense, when we're worrying, when our body is tense, when our muscles are tense, this is also an energy drainer. Shallow breathing. So when you are not aware of your breathing, or when we are stressed and when we are tense, we usually tend to breathe from the top of our lungs. So it's like, it's really shallow. While when we are relaxed, we breathe with deep. We breathe through the stomach, and we take in and out deep breaths. What else? Afternoon coffees. So I stopped my coffee consumption, not every day, but I don't drink coffee now every day. I'm not dependent or addicted to coffee. And I did a little research on coffee, and what the research says is that when you drink coffee, the effect of it lasts for 8 hours, 8 to 9 hours. So imagine you're drinking a coffee around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So the effects, you feel the effects of this coffee even at, 15 plus 8, at 11 o'clock. Isn't that amazing how long the effect of coffee lasts in our body? So be aware of your coffee consumption, because it's also can be an energy drainer. What else? I said tough conversations, difficult conversations drain our energy. Yes. Analytical and repetitive tasks. So when you're constantly doing the same thing, if you're constantly into the same, like every day is the same for you, you're constantly doing the same task, you're constantly doing analytics, this is also an energy drainer. Isolation. We've all been in confinement or in isolation in the past 2.5 years. And really at the moment in Vienna, it feels like COVID has never existed, even though the numbers are quite high. But we all felt how drained we can feel when we're isolated, when we're not meeting people, because socializing, meeting friends, meeting family is what brings our energy and fills up our batteries. Focusing on problems drains our energy. When you're constantly worrying, when you're constantly thinking about, when you're constantly in this problem frame, we call it in NLP, when your main focus is on problems, then yeah, this is what drains your state. Yes. What other people said, it's to-do lists drain their energy. Imagining the worst case scenario constantly, pessimism, and focus on mistakes. So these are some of the activities or some of the things that drain our state that my research showed up. So you will find yours. Maybe you can add if there is something that is not on my list that drains your energy. And then I made a list as well on how we can recharge. So what are activities with which we can recharge? So for me, as I told you, it's gardening, it's running, it's sitting and watching sunsets, it's coaching, when I work with people, when I meet friends, socializing, which are some of the activities that are already mentioned here. Nature is a huge recharger of batteries. When you just go out, you can just sit in nature, or you can go for a walk, or you can go for a hike, whatever suits you, whatever suits your physiology, your way of life. Just spend as much time in nature as possible. And for example, if you might say, okay, I do not have time, this is the excuse that we all hear. But schedule, if you have, for example, a lot of meetings in the week, schedule a lunch break, half an hour, just go out and make a circle around the building where you work. I'm very lucky to have the Danube here next to me. So on my lunch breaks, I go out, eat my lunch there, and come back. It's amazing how restorative it can be, just half an hour or 40 minutes of spending time outside on fresh air. Here at the building at the United Nations, we cannot open windows. It is an artificial air-conditioned air. So for me, this is really a drainer. So I have to go out often so that I can breathe a little bit, even if it's 5 minutes, and then come back. What else? Aromatherapy helps to recharge our state. Some people said, and I know a lot of people that work with aromatherapy. So inhaling essential oils is beneficial for stress, for anxiety, for sleep loss. Just last week, my friend returned from a trip in France. He was visiting another friend, and she was into aromatherapy, obviously. So what she had at home and what he shared with me, and I'm very grateful, so I'm implementing that in my home or in my office, is you can get a stone or a piece of wood anywhere from the street. And then get your aroma oils, essential oils, and just put a few dots of drops of an essential oil to your preference, and leave these at 2 spots or 1 spot in your home, in your office. And when you enter at home or when you enter the office, you immediately feel the smell. And it will associate, your state will associate to this smell of whether it's relaxation, whether it's inspiration, whether it's energy. And immediately this is called anchoring in NLP. And you will anchor yourself. So immediately as you smell this smell, you will go into a state of whatever you need: inspiration, relaxation, calmness, joy. So try it out. Try out aromatherapy. It's magical. What else? Deep breathing. So there are many techniques for breathing. What I like when I'm in a stressed state, for example, or in a tense state, I do 4-4-4-4 breathing. So inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. You count to 4 when I say 4-4. So inhaling, you count to 4, you hold, count to 4, exhaling, you count to 4, and then count 4 again, holding the breath. And you repeat this for minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes until your nervous system calms down. A nap is amazing. I was really against napping when I was younger, I have to say. But in the last year, I discovered napping. And whenever I feel tired in the middle of the day or when I can, of course, here in the office, I cannot nap on my desk. But when I'm working from home, I can give myself a nap, 15 minutes. And it's magical. It's magical for restoring the whole energy. What else? What else can recharge? And this is now also things that I use and what I have read also in my research of what people said that recharges them. Meditative movement or meditation. And when I say meditative movement, it's either yoga, it's Tai Chi, it can be even dancing. Just play your favorite song, your favorite music, and start dancing in the middle of the living room. It's also something that I do on a regular basis. Or even just simply put your headphones and play your favorite song. Whenever you feel drained, you are in a drained state, put your favorite song on and you will see the effect. You will feel actually the effect. Friends and family, I mentioned meeting people is what fills us with energy. Gratitude journaling. So writing what you're grateful for. That's also what people said. I do journaling at the end of the night, gratitude journal. I keep one. And for me, it is personally, it gives me like a nice wrap up of the day. And especially it is, there are days when there is nothing you're grateful for. I mean, the day was bad and there were bad experiences. It was not pleasant, for example. And then at the end of the night, I need to sit down and write a gratitude journal and write what am I grateful for. So these are the days when you struggle. But then these are the days when I remember that there are a lot of things to be grateful for every day. Every day. For the first thing is to be grateful for that you're awake today, that you're alive today. Yeah. What else? What else is on my list? There are so many activities that you can do. And the best thing about it is that all of this is free. You do not need to go and pay for a training course or for a workshop or for even to go to the cinema or to go for, this is all free of charge. So you can recharge your batteries free of charge. You just need to find your way of recharging. Some people said creative visualization, which is basically putting your fantasy and imagination, letting it run wild. Accomplishments. Keep a brag list. someone said. Celebrate the small wins. Because what we tend to do is we are not satisfied of what we have done, of what we have accomplished, and everything is too little. It's not enough. I could have done more. I could have done this or that or that. No. How about start bragging even about your smallest accomplishments? So some people say that this is what energizes them and what gives them a kick, what recharges their batteries. So I hope I gave you a lot of ideas on how you can recharge. So the idea is to notice, really notice and become aware when your state is drained, when you are in a drained state. And notice which activities drain your state. This is the key, self-awareness. So what is draining my state? And then which activities are charging my state? Which activities are giving me energy? So then mix both so that you can create a nice balance, and then you feel charged throughout the day. Because if you let your energy be drained, you're heading to a shutdown. Our body tells us when we are tired, tells us when we are stressed, tells us when there is something off balance there. We need to listen. And once we are aware, okay, this is not doing anything good for me. I don't feel good in this state. And then you add up one of these activities that work for you. So as I said, because we cannot eliminate draining activities. We need to incorporate both into our life, so that we don't head towards a burnout. And I want to tell you the definition of the burnout. I wrote a definition of burnout according to Mayo Clinic. And a burnout is a state of physical or emotional exhaustion that involves a sense of reduced accomplishment and loss of personal identity. I'll read that to you again. So burnout is a state of physical or emotional exhaustion that involves a sense of reduced accomplishment and loss of personal identity. So some of the symptoms of a burnout is loss of energy, as I said, trouble concentrating, lack of satisfaction. People become cynical, critical, irritable. They're not motivated. They are numbing themselves with either a lot of food or alcohol or drugs. They don't sleep well. They have headaches, stomach aches, other pains. So these are all signs of a burnout. And maybe you are not even aware that you're in a burnout state. So the idea is not to heal it once it happens, but the idea is to prevent it. So this is at least what my lesson from one of my lessons from cancer, because I could have prevented it, but I was not really aware, I have to admit. Yeah. So whatever your activity is, it's yours. You find your way. You find your way how you recharge on a daily basis. Just as you recharge your phone, you need to recharge yourself. And I cannot stress more how important this is. Okay, so then to move on and to discuss the second part of the newsletter. So I had two parts in this newsletter, and the second one was the intention perception gap. So how many times have you said, oh, it's not what I meant. I'm so sorry to hurt your feelings. This is not what I intended to say or to do. Or I only intended my comment to be helpful. many times, right? And this happens on a daily basis. When we say something, and especially it happens when we are having difficult conversations, when, for example, you're giving feedback, for example, you're stating your opinion. But even in the most simple conversations, what we intend to say and what is perceived from the other side might be completely disaligned, completely different. So what we need to improve is how our community, we need to become aware of how our communication is perceived. Because yes, you're going to say, and lately we do hear a lot, yes, you need to be direct, yes, you need to state how you feel, yes, you need to open up, and yes, you do, right? And at the same time, we need to be aware of the words we're using, of our body language that we're using, of how we are saying what we're saying, and also become aware of how the person and find out and know how the person or our audience is perceiving our communication. I read a very nice story of someone on social media recently, and this was a woman who was preparing her little daughter to go to school. And in the evening, before the first day of school, she took a toothpaste and a plate, and she took out all of the contents of the toothpaste, so the toothpaste out on the plate. And then she told the daughter, now you need to put the toothpaste that is in the plate back to the tube. And the daughter was confused. And she was like, okay, Mom, I cannot do that. It's impossible. That she tried first, but it was impossible. So the mother said, you can see your words like the toothpaste. Once they're out, you cannot bring them back in. It's very difficult to take it back in, put it back into the toothpaste. So for me, this was a very, very, very nice way and nice story of how you can explain to a child, but also for us, how once we say something and once we communicate something, we cannot take it back. So we need to be aware. We need to be aware of what we are saying. Now, when we communicate, a lot of the information is lost in translation. And I have talked about it in my communication series videos. So what we're showing to the world, to the other person, is only our surface structure. And there is so much more deep there, so much information missing, so that the person that is listening to us on the other side, they need to fill up in the information that is missing with their own imagination. And our brains, they love making up stories. So for example, if I give you a very, 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 very simple example. Today, I had a meeting with a client of mine. How much information is missing there? What are the questions you would want to know? Was that client a male or a female, for example? What was the meeting about? Where did we meet? How was she or he dressed? What is the color of the hair of this person? How tall this person is? There's so much missing information just from my sentence. But if I start telling all of the information, all of my deep structure, probably it will take me 3 days to just tell everything that has been inside of me during this short meeting. So when we communicate, all of this information is missing, and the other person is assuming all of this. So you might make a picture in your head of how my client looked like. how they sounded like, where the meeting took place. And this is all very, very, very unconscious. So our our perceptions in the intention perception gap, our perceptions are highly influenced by our beliefs, our values, our experiences, our attitudes, our meta programs, if we go into the NLP terminology. So the reality, or what, so we all have a subjective reality. My reality is not what is out there. And in communication, you do not see my intention, right? When I give you, for example, when I give you feedback, if I am your boss, when I give you feedback that you haven't done this as it should have been done, or as I expected it to be done, and we need to hurry up because our deadline is approaching, you are not seeing my intention with my words. So again, we cannot do it perfectly. None of us is perfect. So in my newsletter, I give you how an NLPer would do it, how an NLPer would bridge this gap between intention and perception. So when you are communicating, you can use the NLP way. So first is defining your intention. What is your intention with this communication, with this meeting? What do you want to get out of it? And then when you start communicating and you are very clear on your intention, you communicate this to your audience, to the person you're communicating. So you say, my intention with this conversation is XYZ. And then you also need to frame your conversation, because each conversation happens within a context. Okay? Next, you need to create rapport with your audience. Either it is with one person, either it is a meeting. Rapport is connection. And we connect based on our similarities. So you need to create rapport. Next, you need to use your senses with precision. It is called sensory acuity in NLP. When you notice everything that is going on around you, and this is calibration in NLP. So you calibrate the minute changes, we call it, in your audience. So while you're speaking, if there is maybe a color change in the person's face, if they raise their eyebrows, if they move like this, if they put their hands like this, you notice all of these changes and you do not know what they mean, right? You do not know what they mean. You don't, people like to presuppose, to predict. So when they put their hands like this, they are closed. No, maybe I'm cold. So do not presuppose, just notice the minute changes, calibrate, and then you can ask questions. So what just happened? Is there something that is not clear? Is there something that I said that made you feel a specific way? Be curious. Be curious. And ask questions. So you backtrack always so that you find out if what you intend is the same as what your audience is perceiving. And finally, be flexible with your communication. Be flexible with your both verbal and non-verbal communication. Once you see that there are changes out there, once you calibrate that there is something off, that there is something different, that there is any change, you ask questions. You ask, what's going on? Is there anything that you want to tell me? How did you perceive what I said? Is what I'm saying aligned with the intention that I told you before? Get curious, ask questions, be flexible, calibrate, open your senses, know your intention, and put it all in the right frame. Okay. So it's time for an announcement. So if you want to learn and to practice all of this, I invite you to join me at the NLP Practitioner. It is starting, a new group is beginning at the second weekend of October, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The NLP Practitioner, it's a highly transformative program where in the first module we learn communication excellence, then we build up, we work on limiting beliefs, we work on values, we work on yourself. So basically it's a transformational program where you learn a lot of tools that you first self-apply, and then you can also apply with others. Who comes to the NLP Practitioner course? I have a lot of coaches, trainers, CEOs. I have a lot of psychologists, psychiatrists, therapists, entrepreneurs. Who else? I have the yoga teachers, photographers, managers and leaders are using it a lot in their communication and coaching their employees, and so on. So yeah, early bird is on. So some people took the super early bird, but now the early bird is on. Get in touch with me, contact via nlp.com, or you can just text me on my social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. I will type them in the comments. And yeah, are there any questions from your side or anything you would like to tell me? Maybe how you recharge, maybe anything. Okay, I don't see any comments. Well, you can always comment afterwards. If you, of course, like the content of this video, like, share. It will help me create more traction, and of course the message will reach more people, and some of them might actually need them. There are a lot of people in burnout. There are a lot of people not aware that they are in a drained state. So think of your friends, think of your family, and yeah, maybe just with sharing this video and all of these ideas that I shared, you can help them. I thank you for watching, and until next month. Again, the Self Expedition Cafe is every first Wednesday of the month. On the first of the month, I publish my LinkedIn newsletter. Soon it will be published on my website as well. And then on the first Wednesday after the first of the month, we are meeting together online here to discuss and to delve deeper into the content of the website, of the newsletter. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I wish you a wonderful month of August. And my message for the month of August for you is that your words have power, so choose them wisely. Thank you again. Bye.